Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Who's ready for spring training?
Already? Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
It's not even Christmas.
Let's go!
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about, of course, our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news. We're going to start off by talking about a few of those predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Second part of the show is when we take your questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or a question you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on to our tip link anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. All right. By the way, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to be announcing the actual movie meetup locations and movies and everything tomorrow. I will let you know that I've had to change the schedule around a little bit because I think a week ago I put out a rough schedule about when I was going to Austin, when I was going to Dallas. Some things have been moved around a little bit, but I'll drop the full details on that tomorrow. But one of the places I can tell you I'm going to be.
Tell us, John.
This isn't the movie meetup.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be in Dallas on November 17th, Monday, November 17th, for the special Amazon advanced fan screening of Wicked for Good.
Wow.
They're doing like a screening like 4 or 5 days early for Amazon. You can jump on Amazon, go find your tickets for one playing in a city near you, hopefully. So I'm going to be there for that. And then I know we're going to do I'm going to stay in Dallas and then do our movie meetup in Dallas the next day on Tuesday the 18th.
So it's like it's perfect staging.
Yeah.
Period.
I just saw when the date was, and I thought, well, I better be around one of the theaters because we'll be showing this thing. So I went out there.
Only in Dallas? Or no, they're around, but Dallas is near where you're going to start.
They're around, yeah. I was going to go to Austin first.
Right.
But when I looked up the theater playing it in Austin, it was sold out. I mean, there was nothing available really. So I looked at Dallas. I thought, well, I guess I'm going to Dallas before I go to Austin. So I got that all worked out. Anyway, full schedule and everything. That's all coming tomorrow.
Nice.
All right, guys. With that down, we got a bunch of things to talk about here today. So let's get to it, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Opening this week is Predator Badlands. I am so stoked for this movie. By the way, I opted not to go to the press screening yesterday. I ultimately decided not to break my streak and not break my rule by not going to any press screening. So I held strong and I didn't go, but I am going to go to an early fan screening tomorrow. Not a press event. I bought tickets for it, so I'm going to go to that tomorrow. I know you're going to see it tomorrow too.
Tomorrow, yes, 6:30 at the Harkins, if I get back from the airport in time.
Very, very, very excited about it. I cannot wait to see it. Now, we heard some first reactions come out about Predator Badlands last week. And, you know, the first reactions, I mean, they're all honest, but they skew more positive because all you've got is a quick little tweet you can put out, right? So they usually skew more positive. But today the review embargo lifted. And as of right now, Predator Badlands has one of the highest critic ratings of any of the Predator movies at 87%. And it's not just with 5 or 6 reviews come in. This is like with 52 reviews that have come in. So let's go over and take a look at what the critics are saying about Predator Badlands.
And Jeremy Johns is right there on the top.
Yep. Well, that's because he was the newest one to put it in.
Oh.
But
well, in
Jeremy
my mind,
Johns,
he's a top critic.
he is.
In my heart.
He gave it the positive red tomato. He says, pretty entertaining is what he says in there. Dread Central says, this is the Predator theatrical experience we've been waiting for. Empire Magazine liked it, saying Predator Badlands is a big popcorn fun and geeky commingling of lurid sci-fi comedy and
it's supposed to be commingling.
Commingling. Oh, I read that wrong. I read coming. And rowdy action that gets high off its own supply. I love that.
That's the kind of review I want. Yeah.
Supply, baby.
Now, Polygon gave it a negative review, but it's very lukewarm in its negativeness. It says, while there's plenty of CGI action-packed stuff, there's no real tension. Okay, fair enough. AV Club also didn't like it. They said the mystique of the Predator, what it was and where it came from, was best left to the imagination. The second you start pulling that thread, the whole idea falls apart.
I totally disagree with that.
I think I do too. I mean, it's not like, because you're talking about the entire protagonist race,
Right.
as opposed to like something like the Force in Star Wars, which they should have left ambiguous, but that's not a main character or anything like that. But anyway, but that's how they saw it, so that's fair enough. Our friend Jermaine Lucier over at IO9 wrote, Predator Badlands is not like any Predator movie you've seen before, but it's still an excellent Predator movie. THN didn't like it. They said Predator Badlands takes one of sci-fi horror's most formidable warriors and neuters it entirely. Pairs it with some child-baiting sidekicks, overloads it with CG, and creates a rather lackluster movie that screams Disneyfication. That is by far the most negative review I've read of it so far. So again, that's how it hit Cat. Fair enough. Big Gold Belt Media wrote, they liked it. They said, a bold evolution of the Predator legacy, visceral, emotional, visually jaw-dropping sci-fi adventure at its finest. CG Magazine liked it. They said, rest assured though, even with the softer rating, Badlands remains every bit as violent as the rest of the franchise. Mama's Geeky liked it. They said it brings something new to the franchise, making audiences not only root for the, always mispronounce it, Yatuja, but also fall in love with one while still delivering on what makes it so beloved, the epic action sequences. CNET liked it, saying Trachtenberg delivers a high-energy underdog story that marries the Predator's brutish ways with a reflective viewpoint and gives us an ending that's not completely predictable for a sci-fi movie set in the universe. Well done. Movie Maker Magazine wrote, to put it simply, it's a legacy sequel done right. And Badlands is equal parts exciting and thrilling, a cinematic crowd pleaser that showcases the franchise still has plenty of stories and fight within it. Roll on the next hunt. Mortal Cinema wrote, this is what the Riddick sequels should have been. This is what After Earth should have been. This is what Rebel Moon should have been. Not quite sure exactly what they mean by that, but they liked it. Heaven of Horror liked it, saying it's a classic hero's journey, but the hero is a predator. Personally, I love this different approach. Otherwise, I could just rewatch the old movies. I agree with that in philosophy. I haven't seen the movie, but in principle, I agree with that a lot. Coming Soon liked it, saying Predator Badlands is an action-packed killer entry into this series. The movie manages to give you what you wanted and what you didn't know you wanted from a Predator film. Beyond the Trailer liked it, saying Disney is doing a great job with their Fox-era franchises, and Predator is perhaps the best yet. Ellie Fanning is a sensation in the film, but so is newcomer Demetrius, blah, 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 as Deck. Dan Trachtenberg delivers a very fun sci-fi fantasy film.
Kaloa Matangi?
Sure.
Is that his Kaloa? That's if you're going to play
Schuster,
a Predator,
Kaloa
that's a
Matangi.
great last name if you're a Predator. Schuster Kaloa Matangi?
I'll go
As
for
a
it.
Predator, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Sounds like a UFC fighter's
Probably
name.
Matangi.
Is it Matangi?
What I'd figure.
Now, the playlist didn't like it. They said a curious, half-successful mutation in the Predator bloodline. Badlands wants to transcend the franchise primal instincts. Instead, it proves that sometimes survival means knowing what not to evolve. Okay, fair enough. Sebastian wrote, the overall balance is positive, just barely, thanks to the film's good direction, impressive visual effects, a very fun Ellie Fanning, and a satisfying expansion of the lore, blah, blah, blah. Screen International liked it. They said, reconceiving the iconic sci-fi villain as an underdog hero, Predator Badlands is consistently entertaining action thriller filled with propulsive set pieces. And the good folks over at Looper wrote, Dan Trachtenberg has attained a similar status to Phil Lord and Chris Miller a decade ago, taking pitches that sounded disastrous and turning them into non-compromised, crowd-pleasing against all odds. So, aside from the one, even the 3 negative reviews weren't all that bad, and the people that liked it seemed to really like it. Again, right now sitting at 87%. And Rob, I'll tell you what, this is one of those situations where I'm not just happy to see a lot of positive reviews, I'm really happy to hear them touching on the things that I exactly wanted to hear.
Yeah.
You know, that they lean well in, they're trying to expand the lore, They're also trying to, really position him as the antagonist as opposed to the protagonist. The whole fact that it's like crowd pleasing, action packed. I'm not going to lie. I'm going into a Predator film wanting to see those elements. So I got to tell you, this has done nothing but increase my excitement to see this thing tomorrow night. I cannot wait to see it. Can't wait to do my out of the theater reaction to it. But anyway, Rob, you're hearing the reviews. What are the elements you're hearing in there that you're taking away from this?
Well, first and foremost, I'm really excited about this franchise overall because 20th Century Studios president Steve Asbell, who I like to call the quiet king of franchises, he brought back Hellraiser, Alien, Predator. He even has The Hand That Rocks the Cradle on Hulu now.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy knows what's up. But what he's done here is, John, I talk about authorship. This is Dan Trachtenberg's third Predator film. After Prey, after Killer of Killers, who would have thought that he would have taken the Predator franchise in that direction? First of all, going back and Amber Midthunder, making her the protagonist.
Yeah.
And then deciding, I'm going to do an anthology animated Predator movie set in World War II and during samurai times. I mean, who would have thought? And it was awesome. And now we're getting his take on a sci-fi action adventure film where the Predator himself, Deck, is the antagonist or the protagonist. This is what we should be getting from all of our franchises. You have a studio president who finds a filmmaker, understands that filmmaker's vision, supports that vision, and allows that filmmaker to bring us something that is new and unique to the franchise and carries the franchise further. Now, some people I've heard, even in these reviews, talked about, I wish it was back the old way. Like, I want a Predator hunting humans or whatever. Well, as somebody pointed out, we have that. You can go watch those movies if you want. But what I like to hear is that Dan Trachtenberg wanted to make, I think, a throwback action adventure, call it a swashbuckling action adventure, but instead of pirates, you have a Predator protagonist. And it's a fusion of the Alien and Predator worlds, which is wild. I mean, if you think about it, and everyone seems to love this, and if nothing else, no one hasn't said it wasn't a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know what Disneyfication means. Certainly Prey and Killer of Killers were not Disneyfied. And I think it's one thing if you're going and you're trying to make a big, full-on Predator action adventure where it's not a gore fest where he's tearing human beings apart limb from limb. We got that. We got that in Killer of Killers. So this to me sounds...
He's going to be tearing other things apart limb from limb, just not humans.
There's no humans on that planet.
Well, this shows you that the hunters that go out have to survive this. So this is what they've been through before they
this is like their proving ground.
Right, exactly. Like, and I love that. I love that we're getting this race, the Yautja?
Whatever.
However you pronounce it. I love that we're getting that race. We get to see more of these aliens, and it's fleshed out. Look, I've been wanting to see this since the beginning of Alien versus Predator Requiem when we saw the Predator Homeworld. Look, I think the next Predator movie should be about a Predator band that's out on the road trying to stop from falling apart. There's conflicting egos, and they finally make it to Earth, and they become the most successful metal band ever seen on Earth. How about that? Almost famous with Predators.
Sure. Now, do they kill a lot of people along the way?
No, they don't have to because these are predators. These are predators. They've grown up. They don't hunt anymore. They hunt on the weekends. They're a band. They're a rock band.
I want them to lure the groupies into the backstage and then murder them. I'd turn on the little laser pointer, kill them. I'll be down with that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The reviews, the actual full reviews are now out for Predator Badlands, and they're quite strong. Right now holding an 87%. I'm sure it'll go up or down a few percentage points here or there, but I'm loving what I'm hearing. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Listen, all due respect to everything else that's going on out there, I think the number one, the biggest film that's coming down the pipeline right now in the movie world is Avengers Doomsday. I don't think there's a lot to debate about that. It kind of is. And so a lot of attention is paid on that, not just because it's going to be a big Avengers movie, because there's a lot riding on it. Yeah. I mean, Marvel has never been there's never been an Avengers movie that came out when Marvel itself was in such a precarious position. You know, when the first Avengers came out, it was all positive, man. Everybody was all excited about it. When Ultron came out, Marvel was firing on all cylinders. When Infinity War came out, Marvel was firing on all cylinders. When Endgame came out, everybody loved Marvel. Today, it's a little bit different. So there's a lot riding on this thing coming down the pipe. And we just heard from one of the stars of the film. And I kind of like, now, of course, this isn't just one of those actor in movie says their movie is really good. I kind of like specifically what he's saying here, because good Canadian kid, Simu Liu, of course, who stars in one of my favorite Marvel films, Shang-Chi, going to be in Avengers Doomsday. And he's getting kind of specific about it. He says, Doomsday is really like a love letter to the superhero genre as a whole. And I love the way he says that. And let's go over and take a look at what he actually said. This comes to us from Deadline. In a new interview, Liu opened up about returning or reuniting with all the actors from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and described what fans can expect from the film directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. It feels in a lot of ways like a love letter to the entire genre of superhero movies. And I think there's something really fun about that, he said. Liu added that the film is for all the misfits and the weirdos and the underdogs that grew up reading comic books and feeling like there was hope for them somehow. It didn't just matter if they didn't fit in. I think there's always a special place in my heart for that entire genre. And I'm going to admit a very personal reason why that jumped out to me. Especially that last part. We'll get back to the part when he says this is like a love letter to superhero movies. But his last part there when he says, this is for all the people who grew up feeling like misfits and weirdos and underdogs that grew up reading comic books and feeling like there was hope for them somehow. I remember reading that and I paused. Because that is almost, not quite, word for word something that John Schnepp said to me once. When Marvel was really starting to fire on all cylinders.
Great, now you're gonna make me
and
cry.
stuff like that. Yeah, but I remember in one conversation with Schnepp, and Schnepp saying, he goes, I wish, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's saying like, basically, I wish I could show younger me what we have today. Because back then it was just us weirdos. We were just the weirdos that read comic books. And now seeing what we're getting and seeing what we have, we're getting things now. And I know you've said this same thing, Rob, that we're seeing things today that younger versions of ourselves never would have dreamed we'd see on the big screen.
Oh, even John, I was sat in that theater. I saw it at the ArcLight Sherman Oaks, Avengers. And about halfway through the movie, I was thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm actually seeing this.
Yeah.
I mean, because I used to say, there's never going to be an Avengers movie. You have to introduce those characters first. And I was sitting next to Nikki Griffin, and I was sitting next to Derek Hughes, the writer. And I'm just like, I was stunned. And it was exactly, and I'm sure I thought of Schnepp, and I saw Infinity War. He never got to see Endgame.
Yeah.
I saw Infinity War sitting next to him at the El Cap.
Yeah.
And when we heard, even though it wasn't Hugo Weaving's voice,
Right.
when the Red Skull showed up,
Dude, I was in that screening. My mouth.
I mean,
my
he and
jaw
I
dropped in
were
my
like
lap.
jumping at him. It's like, going, no way. I mean, it was like, I've never, and I was sitting right next to him, and we couldn't, like, we're like touching each other. It was weird. I went, oh my God. I mean, it was just, it was, yeah, man.
I mean, there are things that we've seen now that on the AMC desk, we swore would not happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just been crazy. And it just, I get very reminiscent of that when I'm reading Simu Liu's comments here. And I really love hearing him say, not just saying this, fans are going to love this, blah, blah, this common thing. He said, you know what? He said, it just feels like this movie is just a love letter to the whole genre. And for all of us who kind of grew up feeling like we were the outsider and the misfits because we read the comic books, and this feels like it's meant for us. And again, it's for very personal reasons, but that really resonated with me. Anyway, Rob, you heard Simu Liu's comments here. What do you take away from it?
Well, I hope so. You know, I've chosen to believe, John. I've made a choice in my life that I'm going to be very excited for this, and I want it to be the greatest Avengers movie of all. I think it has the potential to be amazing. But I like hearing him say that. I mean, we've heard people say things like that before, you know, and I think in this case, though, there's been 4 Avengers movies that have really done it for me.
Yeah.
And I choose to believe that this 5th movie, it's going to be the best Avengers
And
movie
again,
of
there
all.
have been 4 movies specifically done by the Russo brothers with Kevin Feige.
I know.
And every time they've done one, 2 things have been true. Whether it was Civil War, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame. All of them took a lot of liberties with source material in the comics.
Sure.
And yet all of them completely honored the spirit of the comics. You know what I mean? And I am looking for that exact same thing here. I am not looking, I've read some people saying, I want to make sure they follow the story exactly as it was in the comics. It's like, that's never what they've done.
No, and it can't now.
They can't. And if you take all the greatest comic book movies, none of them do that. It's about taking, that story, drawing from it what you can, but also making it your own while honoring the spirit of what the story was. And like you look at films like, again, I often go back to X-Men Days of Future Past, which I legitimately think is one of the best comic books.
That's one of my favorites.
And that's a great example of that.
Love it.
It totally is not following the story of the comic, but it's totally the spirit of it. And it sounds like what Simu Liu is saying is that's what they're doing here.
I totally agree. And I think what you said is really important. I've looked at the MCU as its own continuity. Like when the Marvel comic universe introduced the Ultimates and they made, for instance, the Black Nick Fury that looked like Sam Jackson. I didn't sit there and go, well, this isn't exactly. They firmly set out to start their own continuity and revisit things that you knew. I mean, I think the MCU started out, they had to make their own continuity because they didn't have decades of comic lore to fall back on. So they had to start from the beginning. And they gave us, sure, Captain America's origins immutable. He got frozen in the ice and he got thawed out. We got that. I loved the way Vision was created in the MCU, during Age of Ultron. I loved it. It wasn't exactly the Vision from the comics, but it certainly had the spirit of that character. And we've seen that all the way through. They couldn't call Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver mutants when they made Age of Ultron, but they've moved into that. The spirit of those characters that was there.
Exactly your point. Ultron is not anywhere how it was created in the comic.
No, and I love Ultron as a villain, and I love James Spader playing Ultron.
Can't wait to see him again
There's
in
no
Vision Quest.
strings on me.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you make of all this? Simu Liu's comments, again, look, you're forgiven if you think this just falls under actor in movies, says their movie's really good. Right. You're forgiven for that. But just something about the words he chose to use struck a real chord for me, and it's kind of got me excited. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Next up, under the category of immediately upcoming films that I'm really excited about, we talked a little bit about Predator Badlands, but man, I'm telling you, a close second to that, it's got to be Running Man.
Oh, dude.
When they announced that Edgar Wright, who is one of my absolute favorite directors and one of my favorite people in the business, I remember thinking, that's an odd choice. Really? Are people asking for another Running Man? I'm still not sure that people are asking for another Running Man. But then back in April, they showed us at CinemaCon this big preview for it. And Rob, I know you and I and Ann and Cody were all like, holy crap, that looks good. And then the trailers have come out, and I think the trailers have been pretty solid as well. I think the newest trailer looks really banger. I think that looks great. I think this movie's going to be wonderful. Well, somebody else has chimed in on it. As apparently Glenn Powell sat down and hosted Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was in a screening of it with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he talked to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger loved it. As this headline, the Running Man Glenn Powell shares Arnold Schwarzenegger review on the remake, and it goes on to say this in Superhero Hype. Glenn Powell has opened up about Arnold Schwarzenegger's reaction to the upcoming remake of The Running Man. Really, technically, it's not a remake of The Running Man. It's another version of the book that's very different from Arnold's version.
And Stephen King wrote it under his Richard Bachman pseudonym before he was uncovered as being Richard Bachman.
But anyway, he writes, reaction to the upcoming remake of The Running Man. The actor who leads the new adaptation of the 1987 sci-fi thriller revealed that Schwarzenegger was very impressed after reviewing it. According to Powell, the Terminator star praised the new adaptation for its approach, calling it incredible. He was so excited that the Stephen King book we put on screen, it's really the first time Stephen's vision has been properly adapted. He just kept saying, it's incredible. He loved it, freaked out, was so excited. I like hearing that.
I do too.
Now, listen, if you want to put on your skeptic hat, maybe you could say, Arnold was just being polite. Arnold doesn't strike me, nor has he ever struck me as a guy who will just be polite. And it sounds like what Glenn Powell's saying is that I love the fact that he just kept saying, it's incredible, it's incredible. He loved it and he freaked out. He was so excited. Fantastic.
When asked if he'd see it again, he said, I'll be back.
Oh. Oh. But he probably did. And I'm glad Glenn Powell didn't relay that. Anyway, listen, I'm excited to see it. Listen, if Arnold Schwarzenegger came out and said he hated the movie, is that going to change my enthusiasm for it? Probably not. Does hearing him say he loved it increase my enthusiasm for it? Maybe a little bit, maybe a bit. But it's just good hearing that the star of the original one came out and realized he has nothing to do with this film. It's some people, if you want to be more pessimistic, some people might look at this as the replacing my movie. Instead, he came out and he said he loved it. He thinks it's great. Anyway, Rob, I don't want to put too much weight on one person's opinion of the movie, but you'd rather hear that he liked it than he didn't. Anyway, what do you think about it?
Well, I bought that paperback off the shelf when it was brand new. I bought it at the bookstore next to the Crossroads Theater in Bellevue, Washington. I remember exactly. I was so excited to get that book. The Schwarzenegger movie does not resemble that book at all. There's nothing like it. I mean, the Running Man clearly was inspired by movies like The 10th Victim with Ursula Andress and Marcello Mastroianni, maybe a little bit of Death Race 2000, the original from 74. Yeah. And it has a lot of that in it, but it also has a lot of social commentary. You know, I saw somebody complain that somebody else said, well, it's very relevant to today. The book is set in 2025, and it came out in 82. And it's like, you couldn't have torn a book more out of the headlines than this book is. And so all of that, people are going to say it's a political treatise, and I don't like politics. It's the book. That was what was in the book. It's just coincidental. It's a very prophetic book, and there's so much in it, the way it skewers the media. I mean, there's so much in this book I can't wait to see. I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger is smart enough to look at this. It's a total reinvention of the concept that actually goes back to the original version of the concept. So I'm sure he loved it because it's a very different kind of a film. At least, and from what we saw, it's much more heightened than the book is. You know, it's got a lot more, there's a lot more, it's very heightened in terms of its approach, but it should be. So is Schwarzenegger's version, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And I can't believe, John, that in September we got The Long Walk, which was another
so
Bachman
good.
book.
Another
and
one.
then we got this. These Bachman books were so, in my junior high and high school years, those two books in particular, I must have reread them each 5 or 6 times. And to see them in the same year, that's crazy. I can't wait for this movie. And Edgar Wright's the perfect director for it.
Yeah, especially if you're unsure about that, then I'm going to guess you didn't see Baby Driver. Because if you look at the kinetic energy that Edgar Wright brings into it, and you think about that translating over into something like Glenn Powell and The Running Man, I think you're right. I think, I got to admit, the first time I heard it, I thought that was an interesting pairing. A little odd, but now, the more I think about it, I think you're right. I think Edgar Wright's the perfect guy to direct this.
And this cast. Look at like Michael Cera playing that role. I mean, you've got Josh Brolin is in this movie as the network executive. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah, it looks good. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Running Man is coming out, and the Arnold has put his stamp of approval on it, saying he freaked out, kept saying it was incredible. That doesn't mean we will. He's still just one guy. But it is good to hear. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to play ourselves a little round of overreaction today. A little bit earlier today, we jumped on our community tab on the YouTube channel. We asked you guys if you had any hot takes for us to tell you if you're overreacting or not. Whole bunch of you sent them in. Jonathan's got a few picked out here. So, Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right. First up, Rob, is this an overreaction when we hear from Really Wish, who says Shrek 5 will be the biggest animated movie ever in terms of box office?
Well, that would be, you have to outdo, what is it, Niza from China?
Which Nizan never made that money, so don't even talk. That is such a fraud. Keep that out of it.
I'm just
Inside
saying.
Out 2. Inside Out 2 at
Inside
about
Out 2.
1.7 billion.
No, Shrek 5 is not going to make that. It's an overreaction.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be big.
Yeah.
And, you know, I keep saying this, but it's true. I remember watching that last Puss in Boots movie, Last Wish, I think it was called.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great and fun. But the thing is, at the very end, as Puss is sailing on the boat, he says, I want to go visit some friends. And the camera pans around and he's heading off to far, far away. And the audience lost their minds. It was almost, without exaggeration, it was almost, not quite, but almost as big as the pop as when J.K. Simmons popped up on the billboard at the end of the Spider-Man movie, back as J. Jonah Jameson, right? That was a big pop. This one was almost as big as that. There's still a huge passionate love for it. The love for Shrek has never diminished. It's going to be big. But is it going to be 1.7 billion big? No, that's an overreaction. It's going to be big. It's going to make a big hit, make a lot of money, but it ain't going to be $1.7 billion big. I hope it does, but I just don't see it happening. That is an overreaction. All right, what's next?
All right, John, is this an overreaction when we hear from Dukesta, James Gunn is a better rounded director than Snyder?
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to call that an overreaction. Not to say that I think Snyder is a better, well-rounded director than James Gunn is either, but both, as directors, I think both James Gunn and Zack Snyder have very different sets of skills.
And tastes.
You know, Zack Snyder is a fabulous visual director. His eye for visual composition and stuff like that is great. I mean, it really is. I think he's fantastic at that. He has areas of weaknesses, though. James Gunn has other really strong areas of strengths, but, you know, for example, I don't think James Gunn for visual composition is quite has the eye that a Zack Snyder does.
No.
Now, I'll say this, so I'm going to call that an overreaction. If you had phrased it, because you phrased it as James Gunn is a better overall director than Snyder. I'm going to say this as a side note. If you had said James Gunn is a better overall filmmaker than Snyder, I would probably go along with that. James Gunn is much better at writing. He's much better at, you know, bigger picture stuff. So I might have gone with that. But if we're just talking about as directors, I think they both have very unique sets of strengths and weaknesses. So I'm going to call it an overreaction. Rob, what about you?
I think it's an overreaction too. You can't really compare James Gunn and Zack Snyder because James Gunn is a writer. You know, he writes all of his own materials. I don't know if Zack Snyder wrote Sucker Punch. I don't remember.
I know he wrote Rebel Moon.
Right. Well, but I would say what's really interesting about Zack Snyder is he has pretty much a signature visual style that goes all the way back to 300.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, look, say what you want. I enjoy his Justice League trilogy, Man of Steel trilogy, Superman trilogy, call it what you want. As much as I think that those films have significant issues, I do love them. I do. I love them for various reasons. And I also love James Gunn's movie. And I think that while they intersect with Superman, you can look at their takes on Superman and make your decisions based on that. I think that they are so far apart in terms of the way they tell stories and how they tell stories and the actual stories they want to tell to be almost in different universes.
Yeah.
And they might connect, you know, at Superman, but they're so different. So I do think it's an overreaction.
All right.
All right.
What's next?
Rob, is this an overreaction when we hear from Jack Fisher, who says if Predator Badlands is a success, a new Alien versus Predator movie will be announced?
I don't think that's an overreaction. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet Dan Trachtenberg has an idea for an Alien versus Predator movie. And I think that he's the kind of guy that read that original Dark Horse comic, which I don't understand why they never adapted. But this is a movie that lays the groundwork. Wayland Yutani's in this film. So in a way, it already is. It's not pitting those creatures against one another. But wouldn't it be interesting if Weyland-Yutani went to the Predator homeworld and said, we have an alien problem, and can you fix it for us? And you actually had humanity and the Predators teaming up to save the universe from the xenomorph hordes? I'd see that. And maybe star Russell Crowe. We're going to the arena, boys.
Gee.
I mean, wouldn't you? Come on, who wouldn't watch that?
Well, that kind of was what Alien versus Predator Requiem was in a way,
Kind of,
right?
yep.
The starting pieces of that puzzle was kind of in there. Listen, a year ago, I would have called this a massive overreaction.
Right.
The moment a Weyland-Yutani android, synth, whatever you want to call them, popped up in that trailer, that ended that right quick. It's not only not an overreaction, I'd be shocked if we don't hear an Alien versus Predator movie, or maybe a different title, but essentially an Alien versus Predator. I'll be shocked if we don't get an announcement within the next 6 months. So that is definitely not an overreaction.
Can you imagine a group of Predator Space Marines and our Space Marines first trying to get like work together, like they have to train together before they go off on their mission, like in a movie like The Dirty Dozen, and you've kind of got your Clancy Brown or your Michael Ironside, you know, everybody fights, no one quits,
Well,
and
I
watch the two teams. I would pay to see that movie right now.
Sure. I mean,
Take my money.
it's not like they're just when they go off on a hunt. That's like a tradition, and that's
Right.
like something that they maybe the upper classes do also as well. It might not even be for the lower classes,
Right.
But they also
But-
normally go on a mission solo.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're also not mindless animals who are just like,
Oh, no,
I'm
they
going to
have
kill you because
civilization,
you're not
yeah.
me, so I'm going to kill you. It's like,
Look,
they could work with people.
They've got an army. I assure you, the Predators have an army.
Oh, yeah.
We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We'd be devastated if we did. All right. Where are we? I think, John, is this an overreaction when we hear from Jimmy C? Jimmy C.
Jimmy C.
A very positive reaction to RDJ as Doom in Doomsday Secret Wars will force Marvel to keep him around as Doom for any future projects after Secret Wars as opposed to recasting.
Ludicrously overreaction. Huge overreaction. Because Marvel is counting, believing, completely sold in on that the reaction to Robert Downey Jr. is going to be huge. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it.
Right.
And here's the thing that has made Kevin Feige successful, whereas the old AT&T Warner Brothers failed. He doesn't overreact to stuff like that. He doesn't have knee-jerk reactions. Oh, wait a minute, this thing worked? Change all of our future plans. He's not the guy that goes, oh no, this one movie didn't work. Change our 5-year map. He doesn't do that. That's why he's been successful. So it doesn't matter if people think like this is the greatest thing since, I don't know, Orson Welles. You know, it's not said Rosebud. It doesn't matter. They believe already it's going to be a hugely well-received thing. They have the future map. They're not going to go, oh, wait a minute, people liked Robert Downey Jr. Whoa, we're shocked. Well, let's scrap all these plans we had for where the MCU is going just so we can keep Robert Downey Jr. around. That's how failures plan their movies. That's how failures plan their future. So I'm going to say that is a biggest overreaction that we've had so far today. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
Look, I agree with you. And you have to know where they're going. I mean, the fact is, we're looking at, you're going to be deep into the 40s in terms of Marvel Cinematic Universe films. 40 plus movies. What they're going to do is after Battle World, and there's going to be one universe, the multiverse is going to be gone, and they're going to start over again, and they're going to use the X-Men universe the way the X-Men universe has never been developed, because the Fox movies had no real continuity. They were all over the place. And the X-Men could take up the next 10 or 15 years of Marvel. You'll have the Avengers. You'll have other characters. You might have Doom show up. But no, they're not going to change. They already know. I mean, they already pivoted from Kang. You know, it's like they know. I mean, I'd like to believe they know. So I do think it's an overreaction, like you do.
All right. What's
All right.
next?
On to the penultimate question here. Rob, is this an overreaction when we hear from Ian Elliott Carter? Horror movies are going to sell more tickets than superhero movies.
That's an overreaction because the difference that superhero movies have is they've got the family audience. And you're never going to get, kids being taken 6 years, 7 years, 8 years old. If I had kids, they would, but I'm different. But regular parents are not going to be buying the same kind of tickets for their kids that they would buy for superhero movies. The audience is just a bigger, more general audience than horror films. I mean, unless you're going to make Goosebumps the new Minions, which I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's an overreaction.
Yeah, it's a massive overreaction.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we talk about, look how well Sinners did, and look how well Weapons did. And yes, they did great for what they are. But Sinners made what, 360 million? And Weapons made 200 and something million. Great for what their budgets are. Great for, harder R-rated horror films. Absolutely. But any comic book movie that comes out with those numbers are immediately labeled as flops. We're talking about the upside for a big comic book movie is $2 billion. The upside ceiling for a good horror film is $500 million. Now listen, if you're saying, well, what if in 1 year they release 40 horror films? Well, okay, then yes, you have a chance that horror films could make more money. Absolutely. But like in the sense where the ceiling of any particular superhero movie is just always going to be higher than the ceiling of a particular horror movie. So could an odd, like maybe once every 7 years, a horror movie outdraws a comic book movie? Sure. Yeah, for sure. But in general speaking, nah, that's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. So that's an overreaction. All right, what's next?
All right, John, here's our final question. Is this an overreaction when we hear from Andy Tiu, who says Dune Part 3 will be the lowest rated entry of the trilogy by critics?
Never doubt, arguably the greatest director working today, the debates between him and Christopher Nolan, but never doubt, possibly the greatest director working today, Denis Villeneuve. And I'm going to tell you, that's not an overreaction. I fully expect it will be the lowest critically rated of the Dune films because the source material is the worst that Denis is going to be working with since doing the Dune franchise. I've said from the beginning, I have been very skeptical and, nervous about the idea of trying to adapt Dune Messiah. Because Rob, I don't know that you agree with me on this, but I literally think as you go each Dune novel, they get progressively worse and worse. And I think Dune Messiah is definitely worse than Dune. And now Denis Villeneuve is going to adapt the hell out of it, and maybe he can pull out the finest work yet. But as of right now, I am not going to be surprised at all if Dune 3 ends up being the least critically well-reviewed of the film. So I'm going to say it's not an overreaction.
I'm going to go in. I think it is an overreaction only because I think that we're going to get a hybridization of Children of Dune and Dune Messiah.
I don't disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I think they're going to, and I think there's a lot more stuff going on to work with. You have Paul Atreides killing billions of people and destroying the Landsraad and all that. You have his children. You have you're bringing back Duncan Idaho, the Golas. There's so much weird stuff that's coming. I think that the script could be really, really fascinating. And I think it could be critically, they're going to say, he's taken this franchise in a new direction. But like you said, look, Herbert had to write Dune Messiah because so many people said, well, Dune's just a white savior story. And he was horrified that people thought Paul Atreides was a hero. So he wrote a story saying, no, he's not. And that's kind of what Dune Messiah is. In case you didn't know, people, he's a murderer on a grand scale that we've never seen before.
Depending on which direction Denis Villeneuve decides to take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to see. And I think there's going to be a lot to chew on. And I got to tell you, I'm more excited for this third Dune movie than I was even for Dune 2. And I was really excited for Dune 2. He hasn't let us down.
No, he has not.
Denny V is like Jimmy C. Don't bet against him.
All right. And that's the final one, right?
That was it.
All right, guys, that wraps up today's session of Overreaction. Thank you so much to everybody who sent in those hot takes for us. Again, guys, keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel. We put out these calls. We only leave the call up for about 10 or 15 minutes because so many people respond with them. But if you see it, fire one in and maybe you'll see your hot take addressed on the next Overreaction. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know what filmmaker whose work I love? Chloe Zhao, man. I kind of discovered her with Nomadland, where other people were up on her work before that, but Nomadland was the one that really got me
Yeah.
on her. And I love that film. It's all direction and performance, and it's just incredible. I appreciate Eternals much more than a lot of people do.
As do I.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I think that is a well-made movie. Very different for me for a Marvel film, but I got a real kick out of it. I really enjoy it. And of course, she's got another film out that she might be getting a Best Director nomination again this year. But now she's going to be doing things that are going to get a lot of people excited.
Gemma Chan.
As this article in Deadline writes, Chloe Zhao and Nicholas Gonda have launched a new studio. They've launched Kodansha Studios to create live action adaptations from manga material. This is what the article writes from Deadline. Two-time Oscar winner Chloe Zhao and Nicholas Gonda have just opened the doors to Kodansha Studios, a new global studio dedicated to creating premium live action movies and television series based on hit manga properties. Kodansha Studios will leverage the Kodansha Library, which is the leading Japanese publisher behind such beloved ones as Akira and Attack on Titan, to create films and series spanning romance, drama, horror, and event-level action and fantasy. Kodansha will connect international filmmakers with renowned Japanese manga authors, developing and packaging premium adaptations. You know, Rob, the other day we talked about how Daisy Ridley, who I love as an actress, is going to be doing that new MMA film, and I thought that seems like very bad timing considering what just happened with the other MMA real-life biopic with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Smashing Machine. That seems like bad timing. This is the opposite of that. This is great timing because like Asian influence in film, whether you're talking K-pop or even more, or K-horror, or we're talking about Japanese films and stuff like that, it is just a hot time for stuff like this. I mean, even when you look at like what's just gone on in the theaters with like Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, of course, the big sensation of K-pop Demon Hunter. And listen, a lot of people write into our shows often asking about where the hell is our live action Akira? Where is Attack on Titan? A Hollywood version of Attack on Titan. Where is all this kind of stuff? And to put it into the hands of artistically one of the best directors working in the world today. And we were just talking about, you know, Denny V. We were just talking
Denny
about
V, Jimmy
Christopher
C,
Nolan.
and C-Note.
That they're top of the mountain, but like artistically one of the best directors in the world, a Chloe Zhao coming along and saying she's going to open up a studio like this.
Look at all that media, Rob. Look at all that
So
physical media.
Look at
Physical media.
that's delish.
I mean, this is great timing. Now, listen, aside from a lot of the classics like Akira and others, I'm not huge on anime or on manga. There's certainly some things that I adore and love, but you know, compared to a lot of fans who are really hardcore fans of that, I'm not. But what a great time right now to be a fan of that kind of material. What a great time. It reminds me kind of the early days when Marvel was taking off. It's like, what a great time to be a comic book fan, that all this stuff was coming out. Like when you look at this rolling success, and by the way, I cannot wait for One Piece season 2. I'm very excited for One Piece season 2. So this is great timing, being brought by truly artistic, visionary filmmaker. I got to tell you, man, this is a pretty big deal, I think, for a lot of people, and they have every right to be excited, and I'm excited for them. Anyway, Rob, you read this story. What do you think of it?
It's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing ever because we talk about the fact that all of our IPs that everybody loves, Star Wars is going to be 50 years old. Now, the thing about manga and the thing about anime is that it's and while I did grow up with a certain kind of anime, like I started watching Marine Boy and Speed Racer, and then I graduated to Space Battleship Yamato, Star Blazers, and then Gundam.
Still my all-time favorite.
And Macross and Robotech, and then all the stuff that I've liked, and things like Vampire Hunter D, and I started reading the manga that was being shipped in by Viz Communications in the 80s. Look, I'm still a huge fan. I mean, I'm building a 4-foot-long Arcadia from my youth in Arcadia in my Robservatory. But I still love classic anime. But the anime and manga, the thing what people don't understand, in Japan, there's manga about everything. If you want to, there's a movie I bought a movie about basketball, a Japanese animated film about basketball. I think Jeremy John said it was one of his favorite movies of the year. It was Chris Stuckman or something. This is the greatest idea ever because all of this material belongs to today's generation. One Piece is modern. You know, K-pop Demon Hunters, but Demon Slayer is there you go. That's exactly it. By the way, I forget what it's called. Why am I drawing a blank on this movie?
Slam Dunk.
First Slam Dunk. This is a great movie. And it's an anime about basketball. You would love it. And I could loan you my 4K disc if you want. It's in a steelbook. But I think this is perfect because this is what the world needs. We can't expect the youth of today to consume our ancient IP from 50 years ago. As much as we love Star Wars, there's so much material in Japan that has a different sensibility that we have yet to see here in the West, especially translated to live action, because One Piece is one of the first live action things that we've seen that has the flavor because you have the original creator working on it. And the thing that makes manga and anime unique is sometimes lost when it's brought to America, but not in this case. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard of, actually. In terms of moving forward with entertainment, this is perfect. Like you said, this is the perfect time.
You know, the way you describe the basketball thing, I'm envisioning, and maybe this is totally off base. I'm envisioning films like, did you ever see the Stephen Chow film, Shaolin Soccer?
Dude, I own it.
I love Shaolin Soccer.
That movie's dope.
If you
great movie.
What's the one he followed that up with? Kung Fu
Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle.
I'm imagining adaptations turning out looking like Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle.
This one,
if you
the
can make some
basketball,
of them like that, I'd be totally down.
yeah, the basketball movies are serious. It's serious,
Right?
It's not like, but Shaolin Soccer is amazing.
I love Shaolin. You know what's funny too? That movie came out in 2001. I remember at the time going, the visual effects in this are really good. Like, especially for those are 24-year-old visual effects now.
Well,
like we do the soccer ball. But guys, if you've never seen Shaolin Soccer,
it's
I
dope.
think it's better than Kung Fu Hustle. Most people go to Kung Fu Hustle. Shaolin Soccer is amazing. Make sure you watch it.
Well, I mean, look at how Japan, like yesterday, they dropped Godzilla -0. It's going to be the first Godzilla film shot outside of Japan since Godzilla Final Wars 20 years ago. So, dude, I'm stoked. I mean, come on, let Japan and let Korea and let Indonesia and let all the Asian markets that are making great entertainment, let them have the next century. Why not?
And again, listen, I really got to double down on this. I think a dedicated studio coming together to create live action entertainment from that kind of a library is good. It's 2-time Academy Award winner, artistic visionary Chloe Zhao doing it. Like, to me, that's kind of akin to Quentin Tarantino is doing a Marvel film. Like I said, holy crap. Like, it's not the name I would have thought, but I'm super excited about it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I think there's a lot of potential for excitement here. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, with Avengers Doomsday coming out, one of the things that the Russo brothers are very well known for is dropping thick, deep, rich teases to their audiences. Whether it's little graphics of one of them sitting in a room and having to figure out what the meaning behind it is.
3 Avengers movies.
Like, this is the new one. And then there was the one they did before, Endgame and Infinity War and all that kind of stuff. They do this, and it's always something to it. There's always something to it. Well, as they're pointing out in Games Radar, Avengers Doomsday directors hint at a connection between Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and his Doctor Doom, and tease a bombshell Secret Wars twist. Now, for those of you who didn't see this, because it made its rounds yesterday, they put out this little TikTok video, and I'm going to play it without the audio.
I love she's wearing a Super 8 camera shirt.
Yeah, these are a couple of staff girls over at Agbo Studios, which is, of course, the Russo brothers production company. Like their offices there. But it starts with one girl wearing the Iron Man mask, singing What's Going On. And then the camera pans around to the next girl with the Doctor Doom mask. Now, I also want to point out something else here. Now, it'll go back around. I want you to notice behind her, there are 3 mannequins in costume. There is a let me see if I can move this in here. There's a Doctor Doom mannequin standing side by side with a Sue Storm mannequin and a Franklin Richards mannequin.
Creepy ass Franklin
The
Richards.
perfect family, John.
The perfect, put together make-believe family, whatever you want to call it, which of course, for those of you know who know the Secret War storyline, there's some relevance there. So right now there's huge speculation going on and a number of theories running rampant. One of them being that this confirms that this Doomsday or this Doctor Doom is either a Tony Stark variant or Tony Stark is a Victor Von Doom variant. One of the two. Others say this confirms that Robert Downey Jr. will be both Victor Von Doom in this movie and Tony Stark in this movie from another reality. He'll still be Tony Iron Man from another reality. We're going to get them both in there. Some are saying it's more an ethereal comparison just because, it's Tony who played Iron Man, but now he's playing Doctor Doom. I don't think that's it. So there's theories there to pick on. And Rob, I'm going to go over to you here in a second to get which theory you're buying into here. But again, the other one is, it is not an accident as I scroll through this here. It is not an accident that they shot these girls doing this in front of the Victor Von Doom
What's
suit
interesting is that's what he
and Sue
wore
Storm.
At Comic-Con.
That's what he wore at Comic-Con, that suit.
Yeah. So they got one that, by the way, I'm going to scroll over here just quick.
Yeah, what is...
Do you see in the left-hand side of the screen?
Nosferatu?
There's an arm of another mannequin there.
What is it?
Yeah, I tried to see what it was.
That's as far as I got.
It's Palpatine.
Somehow he's returned.
Somehow he's come back. Oh my God.
Oh, wait, what is it?
What's the comedian's name? Who did the Parks and Rec crossover of Star Wars?
Oh, Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt. It's Patton Oswalt's prophecy coming true. They're
Yeah.
finally crossing over Star Wars and Marvel. So there's something that I don't know what it is, might not be that important. But I think there's a lot in here to look at. And, the Russos love giving fans stuff to speculate about because speculation is fun as long as you don't let your speculation become expectation. That's where we as fans get in trouble, when we let our speculation become expectation. But speculation is a lot of fun. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this. The symbolism, we got the Iron Man mask going into the Doctor Doom mask. We got those costumes in the background. What theories are you buying into? What new theories are you creating? What do you think about those costumes being back there? Take it away.
I just think that this is, I went back and read the Secret Wars, the whole Secret Wars, the whole Battle World, all of it. And I think that of all the things that they're doing, they're leaning heavily into Doom's story from Secret Wars, God Emperor Doom. We've seen artwork, when you see like the 16th century Battle World planet and all. I think all that's going to come true. Look at how Fantastic Four ended. I mean, it's not like a stretch. If you're Doctor Doom, the person you need most in your life to do what you want to do is Franklin Richards. And like Galactus himself, I'm sure that Doctor Doom first saw Franklin in the multiverse, like, bing, popped up out of nowhere.
By the way, what one of my favorite theories I've read so far is? I like this. I'm not saying I buy into it. I'm just saying I like it. That I think what a lot of us are starting to buy into is that Doom is going to be from one of the world, a world that got destroyed that he wasn't able to save. And on that world, Sue was his wife and Franklin was not his stepson, but in that world, Franklin was his son. Hence, at the end of Fantastic Four, him just sitting there with Franklin. I mean, it gives me chills thinking about that. Again, I'm not saying I buy into it. I'm just saying it's a really cool theory.
It has
like
echoes of Scarlet Witch's
the whole thing,
too.
Avengers Disassembled, which I think that I've always wanted to see Avengers Disassembled anyway. Why not work some of that in there too? If you do Avengers Disassembled and the Secret Wars storylines, there's a lot there. If they bring back Scarlet Witch, which is rumored to happen. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and like you said, they're being cheeky with this. And that wouldn't surprise me, you know, if that's that we've said in the story we talked about yesterday that Doom is a haunted man. You know, he's a broken man. You got to give Doom pathos. You've got to understand. And I think that's how you open the movie. I think the opening of the movie is going to be epic, and we're going to see Doom's kind of the way they opened Infinity War with Thanos and the Black Order destroying the Asgardian ship.
But it's going to be Doom on his world with an incursion happening, and his inability to stop his world from being destroyed. It's kind of like losing everything he loves.
Everything. I mean, it's like the opening of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is, I know it's DC, but when Earth 3 was destroyed and Alexander Luthor was the only, you know, superhero on that because of the crime syndicate. But I mean, it's going to be something epic. It's got to open. I mean, it's Doctor Doom, and the first thing you're going to see, you've got to set him up as a protagonist. So it's going to be like a Bond opening.
My only pushback, actually, it could work because there's echoes, but we saw the Supreme Doctor Strange that happened to him.
Yeah,
in his world, and he lost everything, including his love. Then again, maybe history, may not repeat, but it rhymes.
If you want to be consistent with
you're setting up something.
That can be a consistent theme of the incursions about all these people losing their world.
Yeah.
And so it could be interesting how they're going to wrap it all up, or all these theories could be completely wrong, and it could be something completely different, which is why speculation is fun when you don't let it be expectation. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this little video that the Russos put out? Again, every time they do one of these things, there is deep meaning to it. It's just whether we can find it or not. What do you think about those mannequins in the background? Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the important stuff, which is, of course, taking your topics and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow.
F1 Thunder Road.
There you go.
Cole Trickle versus Brad Pitt. And Thunder Road was the race whatever happened between them 25 years ago. That's where it occurred. That's what's going to happen. Thunder Road, man. F1 Thunder Road.
And Jeremy Allen White can be Bruce Springsteen performing Thunder Road before the
race happens.
Yes.
All right, talk to you later, man. All right, guys, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Anonymous says, hey, John, so I've been seeing quite a few sites posting that Henry Cavill is going to be our new Kratos in God of War TV series. I'm just curious if you've heard this as well and what your thoughts on this are. Personally, I love Henry, but he's not my pick.
I just want a good actor. He can play the part. He's a wonderful actor. I mean, I don't buy it. I don't believe it at all until it's in an actual reputable, real site that does real journalism. I won't buy it. But again, I'd be down for it. Look, it also is very questionable about its timing. He's about to embark. He's not getting started on his Highlander stuff until next year. So I don't buy it. But in theory, if it were true, I would be all for it. I mean, Henry wouldn't be my first choice for it, but he's a great actor. He brings all the physicality. I'd be down for it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous says, regarding the K-pop wrong format question, that's from yesterday. As someone who works in a cinema, we don't get the key codes, basically passwords, until minutes before first showtime.
That
seems risky.
No, I know for a fact at AMC theaters, when a new copy of a film comes in, it is quality assured. It's QA checked. It's quality assurance checked.
I also know for a fact that some employees at theaters watch those movies before.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like for some big movies, and this isn't a bad thing. For some bigger movies, some theaters are allowed to have staff screenings of them.
Right.
But there's always a QA pass done on it. Always a QA pass. That's just basic thing. So that should have been caught. It really should have been caught. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, regarding studio logistics of an F1 Days of Thunder crossover, I think of Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. Unbreakable was from Touchstone Disney. Split was from Universal. The two studios then agreed to split domestic and international distribution for Glass.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, we talked about it yesterday. Those types of arrangements are not unheard of for lower stakes. For lower stakes, when there's not as much on the line. Split and Glass. I mean, these were lower budget, not a lot at risk, not a lot of whatever. And I don't know what the details of the agreements were between studios. I simply don't know. But say it becomes far more complex when you're talking about movies with bigger ramifications, bigger budgets, bigger potential box offices. Listen, again, look, if they make F1 a Days of Future Past, Days of Future Past, Days of Thunder crossover,
cool.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I just don't think most people today have even seen Days of Thunder. I think a lot of movie audiences under 25 don't even know what Days of Thunder is.
I think either way, it doesn't hurt it, though.
Now, bring Tom Cruise, the star of Top Gun Maverick, into it, but not necessarily as his character from Days of Thunder. I think you got $1 billion film on your hand, but who knows? We'll see.
I don't know if it matters one way or the other. I think he could be it. Murph Daddy. John, this is kind of funny. Following up on our K-pop Demon Hunter issue, we did get refunded. It was a theater we don't normally go to, but it sucks that we missed what was probably the last chance to see it in theaters. I just hope the Stranger Things finale isn't the same issue.
Oh, I'm sure it won't be. That sounded like a
Seems
one
like
in a million.
I know.
And listen, it's like loading up Windows in your computer. Technical glitches happen. It can happen. It's not impossible. I've even said this before. When you consider how many thousands of movie screenings happen in the U.S. alone every single day, I'm shocked more technical problems don't happen.
I rarely run into a technical problem.
It's been extreme. I'd say less than 1% of all of my movie-going experiences have ever had a technical issue.
Yeah.
It happens. I'm just shocked it doesn't happen more.
Yeah.
By the way, did you hear that they just debuted, I think it was in Japan, they debuted the K-pop Demon Hunter theatrical sing-along thing and opened at #1 in the theaters out there. So good for them continuing to run their success.
I love success. It's great.
All right, what's next?
Murph Daddy, he follows up, showing my 7-year-old son the MCU. The two things he's been dying to know is where did Red Skull go and where is the last Infinity Stone? Can't wait for him to get to Infinity War when they will both. I got to say, for a 7-year-old, that's very intuitive. That's awesome. Can't wait for him to get to an Infinity War when they will both be revealed in the same scene. Excited to take him to Doomsday.
Yeah, listen, Rob alluded to it earlier, but let me just follow up with it. I love it when a movie can shock me. I'm telling you, man, the last 10 years, I don't know that I've had my literally happened that my jaw dropped practically down to my lap.
Yeah.
As when Red Skull popped up.
Because for
Avengers.
years, we used to say they just kind of dropped that off. I guess he died, or I guess, I don't know. Like, they're probably just never going to,
which would
go
have been
back to
fine
that.
if they did.
Yeah.
But man, when you heard that voice,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa! Like I lost my shit, man. I haven't been stunned like that in a movie in a very, very long time. I can't wait for your kid to see that.
I only wish there was a little bit of payoff that like Captain America knew who he was, because like Hawkeye said, "Well, you tell that to that red guy," and that's all he said. You know.
All right, what's next?
Pompeii, UK. Although, wait, no, because if he returned that stone, he would have run into him. So never mind. Pompeii, UK. Hey, John, I know you're not a soccer fan, but the 5th of November sees the first Disney Derby here in the UK. Deadpool's Wrexham take on my Portsmouth Football Club, who are owned by Michael Eisner. Interesting. Also, the last Hollywood film to film in my city was Project Hail Mary.
Well, that's current. The movie that movie hasn't even come out yet. Yeah, listen, I guess I'm a huge sports guy. I'm not a big soccer guy, admittedly. But couple things. I do watch World Cup. Every time World Cup comes around, I lose a little bit of interest if neither Italy or Canada are in it. But I always pull out my full Italian flag to wrap myself in every World Cup that comes around. But listen, things like Ted Lasso and Welcome to Wrexham. Ted Lasso and Welcome to Wrexham have really got me more interested in soccer. Anne's even got me to go to a few LAFC games.
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, I actually really want to go see them next season.
Let me tell you what, man.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, I want to go.
Going to an LAFC game
is
actually a lot of fun because, like, there's this section where there's like 1,000 people who do not stop the entire game dancing and singing. Like what? And they've all got they got 55 different chants. It's a lot of fun. And I'm
They're in the
getting a little bit
playoffs.
more into it. They're in the play. I'm getting a little bit more into it. I really am. All right, what's next?
Clean Sanchez. All right. I figured it out. In his universe, Victor and Sue were together, and they had a baby, Franklin. He lost them, went mad, and is scouring universes to find and save others at all costs. Or he sues OBGYN, hence Dr. Doom.
Well, you know what? That's exactly the theory that I kind of espoused a little bit earlier. Now, again, it is a little on the nose with what Kingpin's motivation was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where Kingpin is trying to open dimensional portals to go through to find another version of his wife and son. But it's a great storyline, and it would work here, and it's consistent with this whole thing about being a multiverse and incursions. It would be very consistent with it. So would it be a little familiar to what Kingpin's motivation was? Yes. But does that really matter? I say no. At the end of the day, make a great story. And if you make it well and can make it compelling with this character, go for it.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Dan V. I'm very surprised that Black Phone 2 is already available digitally. It was only in theaters just over 2 weeks, and it just continues to hurt theaters. Mortal Kombat 2 never should have been moved to May, which helps October box office, but it's just bad.
Yeah, I don't think they ever should have moved it either. And again, listen, when movie theaters eventually die, I don't know if it's going to be in the next 5 years, next 50 years, but whenever they eventually do, on the tombstone, you've heard me say this before, we'll read, died by suicide. Because literally the movie theaters are killing themselves. Movie theaters are killing themselves. And this whole, by doing a lot of different things, we won't go into all of them right now, but one of them, of course, is, and the studios are killing it themselves too, by allowing films to go to digital so quickly, because like for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, I'm interested in that, but it'll probably be on home video in like 16 days. So I'll just wait. You're literally killing the industry. And without the movie theaters, movie studios are going to hurt a lot. And they're being, the old saying, what's it go? Penny wise and dollar foolish. That's what they're being. They're being penny wise and dollar foolish. They think, oh, I can make 10 extra cents if I do this. Yes, but you're costing yourself $7 by making that 10 extra cents.
Right.
Anyway, it's they really got to wake up, because it's one of the most destructive things they can do to the entire movie industry.
And they keep doing it.
Anyway, what's next?
2 more here so far. Wolfmoth says, opinion on a new Expendables, but with modern action icons like Tom Cruise, Keanu, Alan Ritchson, RDJ, Liam Neeson, Dwayne Johnson. A lot of modern action stars are smaller but sleeker. It'd be neat to see a different take on Expendables utilizing that.
I don't know that I would call either Keanu or Tom Cruise modern.
Yeah,
They're both
been
in their
around
60s.
Yeah.
Look, the notion of anything that gathers together a bunch of great big screen icons
Could be awesome.
is good to me.
Yeah.
Whether that's a comic book movie, an action franchise like The Expendables, whether it's a rom-com, for heaven's sakes, any idea of gathering a bunch of icons together in one project is good for me. And again, you know, one of the stories we didn't talk about today, Jonathan, was Lionsgate just picked up the rights to Expendables and Rambo prequels. I'm like, does anybody care about Expendables anymore?
It ran its course. I think it was what it was.
It probably ran its course before the last one came out, which was one of the worst films I've seen in
100%. That was the one that was PG-13, I think, right?
Yeah. It was awful.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
I didn't see it. My favorite one was the one with Chuck Norris, which I think might have been the third.
That was fun.
He shows up at the end.
Yeah.
The other two I didn't care for. That third one I had so much fun.
Third one was fun. That was the one with Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Who played a great villain in it.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever seeing any of the many people who watch our show ever write and say, hey, when are we getting another Expendables movie? I don't really know the logic.
I mean, we
behind that.
barely get Fast and Furious anymore. We definitely don't get Expendables.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Okay, Seconds from Disaster. This is our last of the tips.
All right.
Like Rob, I've always wanted a Predator-led movie. We view them as villains because they hunt on Earth, but for their point of view, it's just their way of life. They're just another species doing what they do. I'm so stoked to see this in IMAX Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, there's truth to that, because even in the movies themselves, it shows that they have a code of honor as well. Like, just look at Predator 2 is where it starts. And then you go throughout that,
Right.
they'll have a code of honor as well. It's just like, yeah, just no different than the fact that humans have people that just go on hunting.
Right.
To survive? No, just because like we like to go out and kill things.
Yeah.
And it's a part of their culture, it's a part of their way of life, it's a part of their rites of passage. Now, that doesn't mean they're not antagonists. They're definitely antagonists. But yeah, you're not wrong about that. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow for another episode. And by the way, for those of you guys who are here, two things. Number one, I believe I'm going to be doing an open mic a little bit later this evening. Keep you
I
guys.
haven't used that graphic in a while.
There you go. I'm probably going to be doing an open mic a little bit later this afternoon, maybe in about 4 or 5 hours from now. So keep your eyes open if you want to just come on in and casually talk about movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And listen, for all my friends who are in California, just a little side note. Listen, you know there's some election stuff going on today. And listen, exercise your privilege of participating in the democratic process. Make sure you go out and vote your conscience. As for me, I want you to vote however you're going to vote. I just want to make sure you get out to vote. I will personally encourage for those of my friends in California to vote yes on 50. Please do. But you vote your thing. Even if you're going to vote a different way than I would, get out and vote regardless. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me until a little bit later today when we do open mic. My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.